Hello class. In this video I'm going to show you how to get a section perspective, which is a lot like the videos I'm going to post before this one on exploded axon, except for you're in perspective and you set up your cropping box slightly differently. Now I've gone all the way back to my 3D view here. If you started from your axons, if you have done that, it might save you a step or two. It doesn't matter too much, but how you're going from, but here you go, I'm starting from here. So to set up just a crop box region and get one started, if you haven't done one, I'm going to right click over here and go orient to views and go to floor plans and go to level 1. Again, if you had an axon already, you could potentially start from that. And there we go, it's going to sort of get a view set up. I'm going to go and rotate the view to, I don't know what my section cut is going to be yet, but I'm going to get it to sort of three-dimensional like this. And most importantly, I'm going to right click and change it from orthographic to perspective, because that's how you get a section perspective. Of course, you could do a perspective in plan as well, although usually plans are not in perspective in most drawings, but it produces an interesting effect. But for this assignment, I want the section perspective to be like this. Of course, now all we need to do is change the crop box. And if you've seen the other videos, you know how to do that. There's already one there. It's hidden, so I got to turn on my hidden geometry. I got to select my crop box, and in this case, for the section, I'm going to pull it all the way up to the top of my drawing. And what I need to do is I just need to pull it the side now through my building. So that's trying to get the right spot is a little tricky here. So there we go. I'm starting to zoom in a little bit. Sort of see this. Now ideally, usually section perspectives work great on longer views than shorter views. Certainly a house is not the best place to sort of demonstrate this, but you know what, it works okay, and it just shows you the technique, because really what I'm showing you is you can use the section box or the crop box in the perspective or orthographic view to create any kind of drawing you want in Revit, which is sort of really great. And so once I've got the cut the way I want to, you can just find the view that you want to find and save the view when you have it set up. Now maybe I want to cut from the other side. I could do that too, so I can pull this arrow out this way. I can rotate around my building and take this side of the box and pull this one in. Right, and so I can get a view like that. Alternatively, I could take this view and pull this in to get to crop it up even more. But let's just say I expect you to spend some time getting an ideal perspective. Our houses are different, our design intents are different, so you have to choose that yourself. So we'll call this one good enough. When I do that, I'm just going to turn off hidden geometry so I can get the view. If there's anything you want to hide, like these section planes in this case, you might go ahead and hide them because we don't need to see those. So we'll hide view, we'll hide category. We don't need any of those elevation markers. And here we go. Now you're probably going to have to make some adjustments on shadows as well. So we will go ahead and turn the shadows are on. We might need to do sun settings, because in this case I'll just cancel it. I should have canceled that out. But anyway, sun settings, or probably from the other side, is probably going to be needed. I'll apply that. Top left, yeah, so we can see that's the case. Or you could really go in the section perspective. Essentially, you might want to change your settings to any number of things to or change the day and change the time just to get the perfect shadow setting. And you might want to spend some time getting it just right. So for example, if this case, the shadows could probably come from earlier in the morning, I would think. So I can, whoops, that's probably way too early. Went a little crazy here. Let me try that and say apply. Oh, maybe I want to go later in the day. Try later in the day. There we go, later in the day. So you can see I'm starting to get maybe some more brights in there. And also you can change the location. We don't really have a location. I can also change, there's the date that I'm working on. Having not something so much in winter probably would be okay, so I can apply that as well. We can start to see I'm adjusting the sun as needed. So there's lots of ways of adjusting the sun. Just get a shadow setting that makes it nice and bright on the inside. So I paused it for a second just because, you know, it took me some time to figure out, and it might take you time to figure out too. But at least for my model, you know, in August about 4:30 at you know, in the afternoon, I get a sun shadows that look like that. I'm pretty satisfied with that. So we'll say okay. Of course, this assumes that your model has already been painted and built. You would go ahead and save this. So I'm going to right click and do Save View and say Section Perspective. And you will go ahead and render this just like, I'm not going to show it in here, just assume like it is rendered in the Axons videos that I'm going to post similar to this video. And then you can post-process it in Photoshop. In Photoshop, you're going to poche the walls just like I did for the perspective or the exploded axons. You might even add entourage. You might add some furniture. You could add other things in the background if you wanted to. So there are more post-processing things, but those are all things that I've gone over in other classes. This is the basic steps of how you set it up in Revit. You know, you hit render and you have a nice project. So I'm going to pause the video. I might render it really quick and then show you a completed version, but I don't need to go through all those steps. Just refer back to the other videos. So jumping ahead, here it is sort of rendered in a rendered view. What I did is I just pulled up the other house I typically work with in Photoshop. So I saved the view out, of course, and I just made a new layer and I pochade all the walls with a paintbrush as I shown in the video on exploded axons, and you have a cool little section perspective. The benefit is like that Revit makes these section boxes so easy. They work. Section perspectives work really great on large buildings where you've developed a great interior space, and you can easily go and make one of these, render it, and a little bit of post-processing work in Photoshop, and you can have a great drawing. So with that, that ends this series on how to make section perspective and exploded axons with Revit.